What is up, everybody? My name's King Keyblade, and today, the trailer that we've been waiting for about a month is finally here at Jump Fest. But we didn't get the entirety of the D23 trailer. But today, I'm going to be breaking down this trailer piece by piece. And there's a decent amount, 5 minutes worth of a trailer, and we have a lot to look at. Some of it we can kind of skip over because we kind of already saw it before, but the Kingdom Hearts 3 stuff, there is a bunch to dissect in it and a bunch of smaller things to look at too. And this trailer is pretty much everything that we saw or was shown at D23. Not everything, but it is split up starting with some 2.8 stuff, then it goes into back cover, and then it goes into the HD remix or remake of Dream Dark Distance, and lastly it shows the Kingdom Hearts 3 gameplay that was shown at D23. That's pretty much how the trailer's set up. But that's enough talking. Let's get into the dissection of this trailer. The trailer doesn't start out as the normal shing Square Enix, then Disney logo. It more starts out with something about the ESRB rating and then this game's in development. Not as much fun. But it quickly moves in to Yen Sid's tower, where he's talking to Kairi, Riku, and Mickey. They're talking about the upcoming war between the darknesses and the light, and that they have to gather the 7 Guardians of Light in order to fight and guard the pure lights. And then he says that he's gonna summon Hitler. Well, okay, joking wise, I did think he said Hitler right there, but he says he's gonna summon hither the Guardians. Or in this case, he says they need to find Aqua, Terra, and Vin. And Mickey then mentions him meeting Aqua in the Realm of Darkness. And the thing to really note about this area, nothing really to look at other than dialogue, is the graphics, which look very different in my opinion from Kingdom Hearts 3, from like the talking sequence between Ericus and Xehanort in that scene. The characters either look very in development-ish, they kind of look plasticky in a way, or I don't know if that's the art style that they're going with. And it doesn't look horrible or bad, it just doesn't look complete, in my opinion, especially when it came to Mickey, who kind of looked like he had 2 flat face kind of textures on him. And he looks smooth. Everyone looks smooth, but even when it goes to Yen Sid, his beard kind of looks, well, like literal plastic, and so does his face. So I don't know if that's the art style they're going with, but when it cuts to the scene with Aqua, it looks a lot more like what we saw in the 2.8 trailer. So I think this might be in development, or maybe not. Maybe this is the art style that they're going with. But then after this little conversation, it cuts to Aqua, which nothing really new shown there. It's the exact same thing, basically. We then move into the back cover section of the trailer, and here we actually get to see a brand new area. And it apparently is Daybreak Town from Unchained Key. And I assume this is going to be where the story is actually told for this. It kind of cuts back here and changes to that new chapter, and then it talks some more, then goes back here and then changes to the new chapter. But aside from that, it kind of looks cool. Again, I think it does look still in development-y. I think it does look great. I do like the look of it, but it still looks like it's not complete, at least for that area. But then it cuts to the same scene basically from the first 2.8 trailer, except it has everyone's voices for their characters explaining who they think the actual traitor is in the group. And that's about it. Not much else to really say about the area because there isn't much else really said. And in the Kingdom Hearts Dream Dark Distance remake portion of it, there's not really much to talk about. It does look great for a remake, or for graphics wise, it does look very, very sharp and about as good that you're going to make Dream Drop Distance look. It looks like that. The particles look great and everything about it looks great, but there's not really much to talk about for new wise. They don't even have the HUD ready yet, so the game's still in development, as you can tell from all 3 things that we've shown. It looks all great, but there are things that are still needing to get done. But for the HUD for Dream Dark Distance, I highly doubt that would take very long, but for this trailer, it wasn't there. Also, rip to anyone who hadn't played the game before and saw that very last scene. Good job, Square, spoiling things. And then it cuts to the logo 2.8, and we get to see a now in development if you watch the English version, or if you watch the Japan version, a coming in 2016, but I'm pretty sure that's a typo because you go on the English version of the trailer, it says down in the description that it's coming in 2016, so that's just something they never fixed for some reason. And now we get into the really good stuff, the Kingdom Hearts 3 portion of the trailer. And it starts out as the same scene from Tangled in the first E3 trailer, where Sora walks out with a little more footage of him walking in instead of cutting in. Shows a full walk, and Sora does look a decent amount better from his face, and it's sharper, but it looks even better later on in the trailer. And then we get seemingly an extended portion of the fighting trailer in Kingdom Hearts Entangled's world, where he's fighting the Seeds and the Cotton Ball Heartless. We're going to see some cool little combos, and there are a few things we can actually see that are kind of different we didn't get to see before. And that is Sora has a slight air dash, but we've had air dashes in the other games, so this one seems a lot quicker, more precise, and like you can actually control it in the air. And there are two more smaller details in this area that I picked up on, and is that when Sora missed and almost hit Goofy, he hit the ground, and it seems like there are particle effects of like metal hitting like a rock or something. It looked like it was shooting up, and I thought that was a really neat touch that actually showed when you miss there is an actual particle effect that can go with it. And then there's another cool little detail. When Sora is running and almost runs into Goofy, he kind of sidestep or goes sideways and runs around Goofy without hitting him, and which is a really cool touch. And these are a lot of things that I've noticed in these trailers, is that there are small little details, and there's more that I'm going to point out in a minute. But before we get to these next enemies in this next scene, we have something answered that was kind of strange, and that is the changing of the HUD from having the orange bar above the health being focus and then EX sometimes. It changed randomly in different screenshots that we got. The reason for this is found out that there's two different abilities that Sora can activate with this bar. We're not exactly sure how you change between them, but the EX is going to be like shot locks from Birth by Sleep, except in Birth by Sleep it was called Focus, and in this game, Focus is going to be for an ability called Athletic Flow, from somebody that translated it on Twitter, where Sora can actually freeze time and move and attack enemies, move toward enemies. And shot locks seem to work the same as before, but I'll get to that later in the trailer. There's something else to note. This is the first time we actually get to see the deck change colors from when you're in combat and when you're out. When you're not in combat, it's blue, and then when you get into combat, it is orange. And this kind of tells us that the first clip that we saw from the very beginning is a very older clip, because you're in combat and it is blue. And later in, you can see that when Sora's not in combat, it's blue, then when he gets in, it changes to orange. But in this next scene, this is something that we actually found out from a description of the trailer, but we get to see Sora run pretty damn smoothly through the grass, and the grass moving, and animations for all that is just beautiful. But Sora meets a new enemy, seeming to be the nobodies that were explained to us before, the nobodies of Marluxia, and they look crazy, where they change from two different forms, from one where they are flowers and they kind of form together and kind of spin around, they can hit you with it, and then their regular form with their scythe. We don't really get to see them swing the scythe, but I assume it's pretty deadly. And we can also see rose petals kind of fly off of the nobody whenever it spins. We can also see Sora double jump right before this, which we haven't actually really gotten to see, I don't think. In the older trailer, we don't get to see him double jump, which right here, he can get really freaking high. I know he's jumping off a cliff, but he can jump damn high. And also, we get to see Sora smoothly, really smoothly, go into flow motion as he kicks up on a rock, and then he kicks off of it, which is really nice to see how smooth that can actually be gone into. Speaking of athletic flow, we get to see it in this next scene where Sora starts to lock on to multiple enemies in midair, and as time is basically stopped, we have a new command deck when it goes into this form with two buttons, it seems like, but we can't really tell what buttons they are or what they're for or what they say. But I assume it goes along the lines of attack or something like that, I don't know. But when you do go into the attack where Sora moves toward the enemy, there is a button that shows up right before you attack the next enemy. I'm not sure how accurate you have to actually be with the timing of pressing the button. I don't know if you can just like jam down X or triangle like you could sometimes do in Kingdom Hearts 2, or if you actually have to time it somewhat or you'll miss it. I hope it's the latter, but we can't really tell from this scene because we don't know what button it is and we don't know what the command deck or HUD says. And honestly, the entire attack sequence is just freaking gorgeous. You can tell it's a combination between shot locks and flow motion going together, and I guess that's just a new twist on flow motion because they want to do more than just kind of what they originally did in Kingdom Hearts Dream of Distance. Next, we are back in the same area with the same type of flying enemies, or flying Heartless, and we get to see some more pretty cool combos, very smooth. I wouldn't say quite as quick as Kingdom Hearts 2's and not as good so far. I do like the combos, but they don't seem as good as KSU so far, but they are getting better from the E3 trailer to now. They are getting a lot better. We can see some improvements. And something else that we heard from the description of these trailers before is that Sora like fell into a river and he started tripping or something. We can see that here, where he actually is in the river and it's dragging Sora along, where he's kind of bubbling and about to fall down in the water. And I think that's pretty cool that we get to see the actual effects of the environment happen to Sora, and that means other worlds are going to have things like this, and I think it's a really good idea, and hopefully we can use some of those environmental tactics against Heartless too. Also, something to say, the water here looks freaking gorgeous. The rivers look amazing. They look real almost. And also, just the water in general looks amazing with the particle effects when Sora's running in them. I love those. And yeah, those are just really good looking water. And one small kind of cool little thing, we get to see our first glimpse of a chest in the game. And that is sitting on top of a little ridge when Sora's going down the river. And you can tell it's not quite the finished product for a chest. It does look slightly different from Kingdom Hearts 2 chest, but you can tell that the shading and lighting for it's a little off. But it's cool that we get to see our first chest in the game. And also, if you're wondering what world Sora is in right now, you can see a like Spartan-like statue in the back right corner. So you can kind of figure out this is Mount Olympus or whatever the world's going to be called. I'm going to assume Mount Olympus. Then moving on to a new world. Twilight Town once again. Right off the bat, I can say the shadowing for this world and lighting got amped up a ton for this trailer. It is a lot better than it was before. Not saying it was bad before, but you can tell everything here just looks top notch, especially shadowing for like the brick in the walkway looks amazing. And also we get a first look at the tiki huts. I know they all have different names, but they all have weird, strange, different names. So I'm just gonna call them red tiki hut and yellow tiki huts. But in this case, the red tiki huts look more like they're pink, strangely enough, but they have a lot more. The two tiki huts that we see have a lot more designs on them. We can see that the pink ones have fire on them, and then the yellow ones are thunder, so they're gonna have lightning bolts on them. And then their attacks seem to work a lot different from before, where they actually used that element. Now they seem to summon a ring around them that they use to attack with the different elements on them, which kind of seems cool. And you get to see later the ring kind of comes apart and kind of slashes at you too, which I kind of like. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It looks freaking cool, and to see him flying around with that, and it's nice that they're kind of changing up the attacks for Heartless rather than just keeping the same old attacks. And also they changed the way guard works in this game too. Instead of just blocking and you have no real penalty in blocking, the enemy bounces off and you're all good. Here it looks like Sora guards, and then he actually has backlash, or he backs up from the blast, which is kind of cool. I would like to see them put a kind of timing system into it. Say, if you block at a bad time, you get pushed back like that, or if you block really well, you can either not get pushed back and you can counter, or they like take damage or something like that, or they're stunned. That would be something I would like to be put in the game, because I think that timing system for blocking would be kind of cool, and it would make the game a little more difficult and skill-based somewhat. In the last scene, or last little portion of this, we get to see that Fat Body's attack is now more of a bubble rather than a just kind of landmass kind of splitting out blast wave. It's more of a bubble, so if you can't just like jump over it, because you might get hit by that too, so you have to kind of move away from the blast, which is kind of a different strategic, and to kind of annoy me maybe because I hate Fat Bodies, but hey, they gotta change it up somewhat. It looks cool. And in the last scene of this trailer, or world in this trailer, we get the most beautiful, I think, world we've seen so far, and that is the Mysterious Tower. And it is beautiful. We get to see a gorgeous sky with stars and comets shooting in the sky. The shrubbery is gorgeously detailed. You can see just every crevice and every leaf in it. The ground looks beautiful. The glowing blue flowers are gorgeous. The tower looks amazingly detailed and shadowed. Everything in this world so far looks amazing. It is my favorite looking so far. But in the scene at the start, we get to see Sora summon the shooting rite again, which we saw in earlier trailers, but I'll go over it again. Sora pretty much summons it out of the netherworld, and it just kind of pops in out of freaking nowhere. Sora, Donald, and Goofy hop in, do backflips into it, and then Sora puts on his shades, puts on his HUD, or his VR system, and then just goes to town by shooting the enemies. And there is a score in the left-hand corner and a high score in the left-hand corner, where shooting the enemies and getting combos with, I guess, a chance kind of option, shooting them in the air, gets you more points. And I'm gonna guess there's gonna be like an achievement system you can kind of get with that, get trophies for it if you do well enough, which kind of be cool. But you can also see him shoot a much bigger blast at near the end of the lifespan of it. And I don't know if that's just you get it at the very end of the attraction flow, or you build it up by getting combos or what. It doesn't really show, but there is also a little timer bar kind of above the command deck that shows how long you can have this attraction flow. And then after we get out of that and we see some short fighting, we get to see the shortcut menu. And it looks like we're gonna have 12 slots that we can actually use. 4 in the first one, then there are 2 little panels that looks like you can scroll down to. So I don't know if that means there are 12 forms of magic in the game, or that's just in general of saying you can have all these and then put some potions in this one, some ethers in this one, and set up your own strategic kind of set for shortcuts, which is kind of cool, and I like that. And then right after that, or a little after that, we can see that Sora hits a few enemies. We can actually see it earlier in the trailer. It shows 1p, 2p, and 3p, which is pretty much experience. And you only can get them in other games, I remember, from defeating Heartless, and then you get them from teching. But this one, you're pretty much just hitting the enemy. It doesn't look like you're teching anything, but you get experience from hitting the Heartless, which is kind of different. That's what I'm kind of picking up from this scene right here. I might be completely wrong, but that's what it looks like, at least. And it just kind of caught my eye. But there is also a smaller, another cool kind of detail. Whenever Donald or Sora uses fire, there is like syringe marks or fire flakes that kind of come off the magic after it's done and leaves a trail on the ground, which I think is an amazing effect, and I think it looks really cool. And again, those small details I think are something that makes this game really different and just cool overall. And then lastly, we see Sora go into a very extravagant shot locks ability by throwing his Keyblade in front of him. And then he locks on, then he throws his Keyblade in front of him, and then he shoots the enemies, which it pretty much works the same way from what I can tell as the shot locks in Birth by Sleep. And there's also a little kind of record keeping thing for how many hits you can get in your high score for how many hits you can get. And then the trailer's over, and it cuts to the logo, and we get a nice, beautiful, now in development sign. Isn't that beautiful? And that is my analysis of this Kingdom Hearts 2.8 and Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer. And there is a lot of stuff that we got from this trailer. We found out that 2.8 is coming along. It's still some things that needs to change, but it's looking really good. I'm glad we got to see a little more footage from that. But the Kingdom Hearts 3 footage looks amazing. The graphics are getting really smoothed out, and there's a lot of different elements that we got to see that were added to the gameplay. And I can really see how this is going to be an amazing game for combat-wise. Just the variety of stuff that we've seen so far. And yeah, my name's Arcane Keyblade. Tell me what y'all think of the trailer, or is there anything that I'm missing that I didn't point out? But yeah, my name's Arcane Keyblade, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace out.